My guest today is Linda, and she lives in Central Florida, actually not too far from where my in-laws live in Orlando. And she's going to talk today about her massive improvements to not just rheumatoid arthritis, but to her life in general by switching to a low-fat plant-based diet with additional aspects like improvements to exercise regimes, outdoor sun exposure, all sorts of things that involve basically an improved life and therefore better health and therefore lower disease symptoms. And she mentioned to me before we started, she had a few butterflies in the stomach. And I said, Linda, don't think that this is about you and the spotlight's on you and that you can make any mistakes. This is about helping people. There are people who watch this show, maybe newcomers or people who have been watching this show for a long period of time, who need help, who want some insights, who want some tips, who just sometimes need encouragement. And we just give the most of ourselves and think about them and say, what else can we share that can help our audience? And this touched the right part of Linda, and she's ready to share. And it's a pleasure, Linda, to have you with me today.
Thank you so much, Clint. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Give us this sort of before and after quick snapshot before we dive deep into your story and learn from you.
Sure. Well, I was diagnosed in September of 2019. And before I was diagnosed with RA, I was extremely active. I've always been a very, very active person. I grew up with three brothers, so you can imagine that I was all about sports exercise. Exercise has always been a way of life for me. It's not just what I did, but what my life. It was fitness, health, eating right was always, incorporated into it. Before, when I was diagnosed, I was coaching youth soccer. So I was actually a youth soccer coach. My son, since the time he was 4 years old, and by the time that I started getting symptoms, he was about maybe 7 or 8 years old. So I was like almost my fourth year into coaching youth soccer when I started getting symptoms in 2019. And so again, 2019, I was diagnosed, and just going from one rheumatologist to another, just trying to find answers and not wanting to go on methotrexate or any of the harsh medication. From day one, I've always wanted to find a holistic way, a natural way to try and not make it go away, because I knew that it's an autoimmune, so you're going to have it forever. But I just didn't want to go on that medication. So finally in 2021, last year, I learned of the Paddison Program in April. And since then, I've been able to get off of steroids. I've been hardly any flare-ups unless I come off the program and I eat something I'm not supposed to. But for the most part, I don't even have flare-ups anymore. I'm back to exercising again. I don't coach anymore because my son is a lot older, so he's in competitive soccer now and stuff. But it was a joy that I was able to do it then. But the RA really hit me hard only because I was always so active, and then I couldn't be active anymore. I couldn't do those things anymore.
And how's your activity level now compared to before RA?
Great. Compared to how I was just a year ago around this time, I'm exercising again. I'm able to, do things. I mean, it took a long time for me to get strength back, because, you still can't do like the things that you used to do before, because, the RA still does take a toll, on your muscles. And then that's why the exercise is just so important. In speaking with my doctor, my general doctor, I had asked her, did I have the RA? Like, why are the symptoms coming up now? I mean, in 2019, that means I was 53. 52, 53. And she said, well, because when women, especially women, when they exercise, it increases their bone density. And with you always being, weightlifting, running, and being so active, the symptoms probably didn't start till later because usually it comes like when when you're younger, in the 40s and such. At least that's what she explained. But she says that, being, exercising, being that I've always been exercising, the symptoms probably came up a little bit later than, let's say, someone that's sedentary that doesn't, exercise as much. It would have come maybe sooner because their joints would have really been affected. I'm glad I can exercise again. That's just the one thing. It's just so, so important.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly, there is no harm and only benefit from having done a lot of exercise before the diagnosis. There's no doubt about it. The fitter we are, the stronger we are, the less pain we have, and the less likely we are to develop problems, I believe, putting injuries aside. So, how do you feel now? The goal that I hope for everyone is complete confidence and control over their condition. How much confidence and control have you got over your autoimmune condition?
I feel I have such great confidence in this because I just knew, even though I didn't understand it very well. The first rheumatologist I went to, I said, "What is an autoimmune?" Or not what is an autoimmune, but what is rheumatoid? Is it just that I have arthritis and I just take medication for arthritis? And she said, no, it's an autoimmune. You're going to basically have this forever. And I asked her, how did I get this? How does one, why is this happening? And she said, oh, it just happens, to people, no explanation, no anything. You're just one of the unlucky ones. And that just, I didn't accept that. I didn't want to. I just kept going through the thoughts of what did I do to my body? And, yes, I was really busy. I was working, and then you're parenting, and you're doing, sports, and your days are just so busy. And then a lot of times you're not eating right because you're just eating on the go, and you're just careless. So I thought this was something that I did to my body. I did this to me. And so, I just knew that there was something that I need to do. I didn't want to accept that this was just the way I was going to be forever. I was barely moving. I was, every time I was taking a step, it was so painful. I couldn't open jars. It was just very, very painful, and I didn't want to accept it. But I knew that there was something better, that there was something that I can do. I just didn't know what it was. And it took a really, really long time, for me to know, for me to find out. And I'm, glad that I did, in time, but I didn't give up. I didn't give up with realizing that, there's something that I can do.
How long were you taking steroids? What dosage of steroids? And talk about your symptoms as well. Where were you affected? What was the worst? And how bad did things get?
When I first started feeling symptoms was in April of 2019. I was in a soccer field, and it was getting harder for me to run around, a lot of pain on my toes. It all started in the toes. And I went to my doctor, and she said, oh, and I'm not really one to wear high heels. So I knew it wasn't heels. It wasn't, I just thought something was happening, maybe arthritis or something. And so I went to my doctor, and she sent me to a podiatrist. I went to a podiatrist. They said that it was my arch, that I needed special shoes, and especially since I do so much sports and run around. And I spent hundreds of dollars with different x-rays and stuff. And so it was getting worse. The pain was getting worse. And I would buy pads for my underneath my toes, the metatarsal area, and just spent money on different types of shoes, and it just kept getting worse. Then finally, when the pain started going up my ankles, up to the knees. My elbows started to hurt. Then I started kind of like I would wake up in the morning and I'd say, oh, this is, and by this time it's like around now, May or June, 2 months later. And I started feeling a little stiffness in my fingers. And I said, wow, this is really weird. And I knew something was not right. I went back to my doctor and I told her my symptoms. And then in July, she did some blood work. And she's, again, it's my general doctor. I did blood work. And then in August, I went in to see her and she said that my rheumatoid factor was 79. And so she said between 1 and 100, that's quite high. So she wanted me to go see a rheumatologist. Then I made an appointment with a rheumatologist and I went to see her in September. And that's when she also drew more blood. And she said that your rheumatoid factor is extremely high. And she put me on methotrexate. I didn't know what that was, never heard of it or anything. And she also prescribed 20 milligrams of Rayos, Rayos. Now, Rayos is prednisone, but it's time release so that you take it at night. And so by the time that you wake up in the morning, you're not in pain. You can walk around, because what was happening is I would wake up in the morning and I couldn't even I couldn't even walk. It was so painful. And by September also, my joints were hurting so bad. I couldn't cook. I couldn't hold anything. It was just, and the pain just wasn't there. It's just in your entire body, just everywhere, your collarbone, shoulders. It's just, and it's the same pain throughout. It's not just that the feet just hurt or just the collarbones hurt or just the shoulders hurt. You just everywhere. And then you're just sleeping all day because you're exhausted and you're tired from being in pain so much. So she prescribed the Rayos. And so I was taking 20 milligrams of that every night. And the pain subsided again because of the Rayos. And when I went home, my prescription was already ready at the drugstore for me to go pick up. And I went to go pick it up. But after doing a lot of reading, I did not want to take it. And so the following week, I called her and I asked her if I can go in and see her. And I wanted to know if there's anything else that I can take. I didn't want to take that. I spoke with the nurse. They didn't even want me to come in. They said, well, wait until your next appointment, which was 3 months later. I went back again. She said, did you ever take the methotrexate? She, no, I didn't. Why not? I said, because of the effects of it. I didn't, I just didn't want to take it. And so she basically didn't want to hear it. She was just very insistent that I took it. She says, if you feel more comfortable with a shot so that you don't have to take the medication, we can do it that way too. And I said, no, I'll do the I'll do the pill. It's okay. I'll do the pill. And I left. I knew right away there to find another rheumatologist. So since then, I went through about 4 different ones. One of them just told me after like the third visit. The second one that I went to go see, he was a little bit more like nicer about it. He wrote down several different medications that I've never heard of, but in addition to the methotrexate. And he said, okay, these 3 are 3 that you should be taking. One of these 3, go do your research and then come back in a month and you tell me which one you want to take. I came back and I said, I don't want to take. And again, I'm still on the Rayos now because the Rayos was maintaining the inflammation and everything. During that time, though, to keep the inflammation down, I was doing other things like acupuncture. I was doing microcurrent therapy, which probably is the one that worked the best because with microcurrent therapy, I was going to the therapist on a Friday, and then the pain would kind of start coming back on a Wednesday or Thursday, right in time for the next one. But everything that I was doing, it was just not lasting. It was not, the pain would be coming right back. But I knew that it was, something in my head was just like, Linda, you just need to buy some time. There's got to be something that you can do, that you can take. So that doctor didn't work out because he just finally said, I just told him, can you just give me more Rayo? And he said, this is very dangerous for you. You need, you're on this for too long. It was already now going almost a year. And he said that you really need to go on one of these other medications. And I just stopped going to his office and looked for another rheumatologist. I went through 4 of them before I got to the one that I have now, though. And this one here is just recent. I went through a very long time without a rheumatologist, especially after I started the program in April. But what happened in April of 2021, right before that, around February, I had seen a new doctor, and he had talked about again the methotrexate. I said, okay, fine. Still didn't take it. Still didn't listen. Then when I went back in April, I told him that I didn't want it, and that's when he suggested Plaquenil. He told me Plaquenil is not like the others. It's very mild. It doesn't have as adverse side effects, and and most people that start it, at least from what he said, it will it helps, but not for a very long time. Most people have to go on to the other biological medication stuff, after a while of being on the Plaquenil. So I told him I'll try it. I'll go ahead and I'll do that. And so around that time, I was in so much pain. It was very hard for me to walk. Girlfriends would come and help me open jars and help me cook. And I really couldn't even do anything for myself. And I remember specifically, this one person had told me, and I didn't pay attention to her at the time because I didn't believe it. We were talking about energy healing, and she was also sending energy healing, which was also helping. But she said that she had an autoimmune. She lives in the UK, and she said that you have to cut out all sugar, meat, gluten. You have to go plant based. You have to, and all this stuff. And I just said no. There's just no way that would actually. And she said no, really. That's what helped me. And ever since she started eating that way, she says that it's been very helpful to her. She doesn't have flare ups and stuff. I took that with a grain of salt. I didn't listen. I didn't believe it. And that was several months before, I learned about the Paddison Program. Every night I would go to sleep with a U2 frequency for inflammation, and that would help me sleep. But a couple of nights before the Paddison Program, there was this doctor, and she was a cardiologist, and she overcame rheumatoid by going plant-based. And so I said, I forget her name. She wrote a book and stuff. I don't remember who she was, or who she is, but she runs and
it's Monica.
Okay. And she's phenomenal. And so, and I'm sorry, it wasn't a few days. It was like about a week before. And I said, well, maybe there is some truth to this. But then I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't know how to go just fully plant-based. Okay, I got more vegetables, but then what do I do with this? Like, how do I really just go fully plant-based? I was at Walmart this one in particular day, and I fell in the driveway, and I held onto the shopping cart, and I was right near my car. I got to my car, and I was just bawling in front of Walmart, just literally in tears, because I just hated being this way. I didn't want to be, crippled, as you could say. I just wanted strength again. I wanted to be myself again. And that night, I found your video, and it was about rheumatoid, and it was about plant-based. And I started watching video after another. I came into my room, turned on the computer, and just started pulling up all different, your videos and information. And I was, wow, okay, this is wonderful. And that's how it started. And then that was the last time I ever ate meat. I that night I had, I think, chicken earlier or something like that. The next day I never ever ate. I actually wrote it in my calendar. I think it was like April 21st or something like that. And I purchased the program and went through the baseline, just everything. I mean, what it was step by step on what to do, what to eat. It was just so helpful, and that's what I needed. I just needed the guidance. I just needed to know, and especially to know that, wow, there is something that I can do. I was I was never skeptical, but I just wondered, oh my gosh, I really hope this works. And for several weeks, I was following the program. I did, the cleansing. I never I since then I have never been without my celery drink in the morning. I have never missed it since then. Um, but about maybe 3 weeks into now the program, I was now starting in the baseline. I was now starting with eating, eating food in the program. I woke up, I stepped on the floor and felt no pain, no pain. And I thought I was crazy. I started walking around and I felt nothing on my toes, nothing on my ankles. I went like this. I felt no pain whatsoever. That I literally just cried. I cried because it was the first time that I felt nothing. Now I was still on the rail, the 20 milligrams, but the rails really wasn't helping anymore unless I was going to start going up in dose. And the doctors were not. I wasn't. I knew I couldn't go back to the doctor and ask them, or the rheumatologist and ask them for more. So I was really, really happy, really glad. That June. Now this was in April, going into May. Excuse me. That June, I was actually able to go to New Jersey for my niece's wedding. After I knew I wasn't even going to go, I was able to walk in the airport. I was able to. I was able to dance. I was able to. Now I had also gained about almost 60 pounds from the steroids. So I was quite heavy. Um, and not by about 9 months, I was already down to not even my normal weight, less than my normal weight. So I lost like over 30, 35 pounds, from being on the program also. But it was just amazing that I was going through, no pain whatsoever. And then that's when I started to cut back. Instead of the 20 milligrams, I cut back to 10. Then I started cutting back to 5. And then I went to see my regular doctor. And all that time, I wasn't seeing a doctor at all, a rheumatologist. I just stopped, but I knew I had to. So when I would go visit my doctor, she did tell me that you really need to go, at least get with a rheumatologist so you could have blood work and see how you're doing and such. And then I found the one that I'm going to now, where she is wonderful. She does agree that your diet and what you eat has a lot to do with inflammation. She's okay with keeping me on the Plaquenil. She doesn't need to prescribe any steroids anymore or anything. I did ask her the last time I saw her, which was about 3 weeks ago, if we can cut on the Plaquenil, and she said, "Well, let's just wait a little bit longer, before we start doing that." So I said, "Okay." I mean, the Plaquenil. I feel as if I stop the Plaquenil right now, it's not going to really make a difference. But being that I'm not having any adverse effects or anything like that being on it, I'm okay.
Wow. Hey, and how do you feel? Now it's been many months since that part of the story that you just told. Are you able to form a fist? Are you able to walk around barefoot when you wake up in the morning without pain? Yeah. I mean, I'm getting a lot of nods and smiles here. Tell me how your body feels.
Yeah, I feel great. I mean, I can actually walk barefoot now. I didn't. Probably about maybe 2, 3 months ago. It wasn't anything that was immediate. It still took time. I know one of the things you teach and you talk about is like overcoming this is like a mountain, climbing a mountain. You just have to, just take it one step at a time. And I was willing to do that. I was ready to just say, as long as this takes, but my energy is better. I focus better also. My just overall, I mean, I meditate just to keep my stress level down because, my job can get very stressful. But in the very beginning, when I was on the Paddison program, it was extremely hard. I have to admit, it's very hard, but the support that you get, in the program is what really helped me. In the very beginning, when I found out I had rheumatoid, I did join forums on Facebook. And I just found that those forums were very, they weren't negative, but everyone was just in the same, they're suffering. They're just so, they're all on medication. And then if anyone talks about, hell, what is it, plant-based diet or something like that, you get shamed, for it. And then of course, then there's others that, they say, no, it's definitely not the food, it's just what you have. You're going to have it forever. Just accept it, and that's it. So I just found that those groups, those Facebook groups were really not, they were not for me. So I just got out of them and I just wanted to just find a more positive, way to interact with people that were, one thing actually I forgot to tell you, I really wanted to share this with you is when I was looking through the videos in the Paddison program, one video that really touched me was the video by Melissa, where she talked about the family member. That video was the game changer for me, actually. It wasn't the food part, it was that. And I said, wow, if this program, this is what they share, but the video was about the family members and what you can do, what you can do to help your family members to understand, because I really felt very alone. And I mean, I have family, I have wonderful friends. They're very supportive and stuff, but I just felt like no one understands. And you don't want to bother other people, or you don't want to call them, or you don't want to share your story. You don't want to seem like you're weak or you're needy or you're a burden, and seeing that video just, wow, it just helped me to realize that, you could ask for help and yeah, they're not going to understand, but you can, help them understand. And so that helped me a lot. And so ever since then, I started asking more for help and that okay, I'm not alone, in this. But so yeah, that video was it was really really neat.
My wife's, you can see what a sweetheart she is.
Oh my gosh, yes. Definitely.
For those people wondering what this video is, it's inside the Paddison Program materials. You can find it under How to Support a Loved One Who Has Rheumatoid Arthritis is the name of it. And she has also goes through a checklist of all the things that she did to support me. It's moving and pretty emotional. But you've had this massive transformation. Let's just spend a few minutes now going through your sort of top tips. So, a lot of people are aware of the actual program itself. We have a lot of sort of customers, if you like, or users or followers or whatever. But what's been the priority for you? What has been the sort of the backbone of your day-to-day now that keeps you well, that you would never let go of?
It would have to be probably twofold. One is just the support. And in the support, you get the knowledge. It's just learning. You have to know why you do things, what's happening. Like I didn't know about a leaky gut. I didn't know why foods were affecting me this way. And that's probably why I didn't believe that going plant-based can reduce your inflammation. Like, why? Why going plant-based? So the again, the support that you get in the live calls that you have every month, that was one thing too. Having a rheumatologist that you can ask questions, that right there. And then when you listen to others that are also on your, I don't want to say level, but that are also trying to accomplish the same thing that you are through, holistic, ways, or not wanting to go through meditation or, such. And not to shame anyone that chooses or that would prefer going through through medications. There's some people that's what they prefer, and that's okay too. I would never, shame people that would want to go that route. But I find that those that are in, the followers or members, we all have the same, desire to want to get better, through, not through the medications, not through the biological medication. And also we just want to know what's happening, what's going on. So that to me has been crucial, because I think that had I known more or sooner, then I would have then started this long time ago. So that's one thing. I think it's just the support, the camaraderie, is saying that right, of just everyone that is sharing, and that's just there, all together. And then the other thing is just mentally what this does to you. I mean, I was in such a depressed state. Even after I started feeling better and I wasn't in pain anymore, I sometimes found myself just walking around my home moping, just sad, just like I'm not in any more pain. I was so used to being in pain for over a year. And now I'm like looking around, I'm like, I'm not in pain. But yet it still really, affects you mentally. And so that's another thing too, that I write a lot, I journal a lot. I'm so appreciative of my health, of also helping others, to share with them, what they can do, if they have rheumatoid and stuff. But I think, doing things for yourself, I do a lot more for myself now than what I did before. Before, again, I'm working less hours. I'm not as stressed out as I was before. I just appreciate everything that I'm doing now, where before I didn't. I was just, running on adrenaline, from the morning I woke up to the time I went to sleep. And so now I have more appreciation. I have more appreciation for what I put into my body. I've never really been one to abuse, food, alcohol, smoke, or anything. But just your relationship with food now, why you're eating it. Food is medicine, not just in the very beginning, when it was very, very hard. Sometimes I missed the cookies, I missed the cakes, I missed, things like that. But then I started asking myself, why do I want this sugar? Why do I want this? And kind of like ask yourself, why? You how could I say, like, what are you getting from it? And that usually helps you, not to, pick up the cookies or the cheesecake or something like that. So that's what helped me a lot lately.
What are your goals from here? Are you trying to, for instance, accomplish some kind of like, travel goals or sporting goals, fitness goals? Are you trying to establish a little community of yourself, of your own, to sort of inspire others in your local community? Or do you have some food goals where you're trying to get to, being able to eat out at restaurants more frequently? I mean, are there some things that you're really locked in to try and achieve over the coming months?
Well, yeah, as far as going out in restaurants, I don't do that as much because, again, there's not much, or at least I don't. I'm sure that there is. I just haven't really ventured. I would like to um, like cook more and be more creative with my cooking when it comes to eating or cooking plant based. So cooking, yes. I mean, my profession is a tax accountant, but I have started. I would like to eventually one day, have a uh, what is it? My goal to be a Reiki practitioner, and also offering healing services through crystal healing and through meditation, yoga, things like that. So I would like to move into more of a holistic practice. I know it's like a total 100%, 360, when going from one field into another, but that is definitely a goal that I'm trying to reach, in the next few years.
I could
But
totally see you doing that. And don't worry about shifting careers. Listen to this for some weird careers. I was a laser physicist. Then I started a speed dating company and for a while had Australia's biggest speed dating company. And then I became stand-up comedian. And now I help people with rheumatoid arthritis. So there is no reason why you can't use different parts of your skill set to do completely different things. And the only thing I have learned throughout the whole process is that because I do have sort of a interest in having a creative outlet via like entertainment and stand up. In fact, just after we speak, I've got a phone call about a stand up job that I'm doing, and I'm getting back into that. And then on the other side, if I only do that, then the logical and the practical and in your case, the accounting and problem solving part of your mind, that actually becomes like a weak muscle and it wants to be worked out. So from purely just from Clint to Linda kind of advice here, if you do want to switch, try and do it, or at least I found, as a balance as opposed to going from one to the other.
exactly, yeah. Yeah, I don't think I can leave the accountancy fully. I love it too much. I really do. I mean, I love my work. I love my clients. But I also love, natural healing also. And I feel that that's what, I was able to do through, eating properly and the program, of course.
Wouldn't it be funny if you're on the phone to a prospective accounting client and said, and as an added bonus, in as well as doing your tax return this year, once we're done, I can then invite you over to my studio and I can run Reiki on you to clear the year's tax problems. It's just such a strange combination, as you said, but who knows?
Yeah.
You're putting it out there, and there is no reason why you can't get this set up in a very short period of time. I knew a few people who did Reiki. One of them sort of just did a class and then was able to get some students or patients, if you like, within a few weeks. So it's something, the barrier to entry is not, like trying to become an accountant.
Right. Yeah, I started doing it. Like I'll do Reiki. I've done it for several people already, where they either needed to find a job, where buying a home, increasing, work pay or something. And so far, it's worked. So I mean, I've started doing it kind of like on the side, but it's great, and hopefully I'll be able to to do it more in the months to come or years.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to sort of draw some attention to before we wrap up? Is there some sort of parting message that you want to get across to people?
I guess, I mean, for me, honestly, the program itself, what's really helped me more was the membership, in being able to communicate with other members, with other people that are also in the same situation or that have the same thought process, to getting better. support is 100%, I think, having the support, because in the very beginning, I did feel extremely alone, even though I did have family and friends that were there for me. But it wasn't until I started engaging with people that were going through what I'm going through. And it's like as if we were just doing all this together, and finding out, what works, what doesn't work, different medications, asking for, yeah, support is very, very, very crucial when you are overcoming something that, such as an illness or anything else, really. And thank you, because I know you're the person behind it all.
Well, thank you so much, Linda, and thanks for being part of our support community and contributing, not just learning and so on, but just helping other people as well as a member, as we all do. So, what a story! Thank you. It's been a pleasure to hear you speak and to go through this journey and to share it with us. And congratulations on all you've achieved. And I hope to hear more about your developments and your Reiki work as we go forward. And who knows about the Plaquenil, but as you say, you're doing great as you are. There's no need to rock the boat. So well done, and thanks very much for sharing.
Thank you so much, Clint. Very, very much. Take care.